Okay. So when we just have a discussion, do we still need a vote on those?
If it's just a discussion, there's no vote.
Okay. Oh, it says possible action. Oh, since it's meeting. Okay, so, discussion and possible action to approve minutes for July 18th, 2023 special meeting.
So moved to approve the minutes.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? No discussion, call for a vote.
Lamar,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Millar.
Yes. Okay, number 3, discuss and possible recommend council action regarding the bids for PRY 2301 2023 street rehabilitation project. Oh, gosh. Phase 1, and this was a rebid, and so we need a
Need a motion?
motion. Anybody wants to make a motion now?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
Second.
Second. Okay. Discussion, all yours.
I have very little discussion. First off, I should tell you, this is my farewell meeting.
Oh,
You have that great honor of having my very last meeting in all my years. We received 2 bids. Bids were considered, reviewed, and for accuracy of bids, the numbers are before you. This board is a recommending board to the council, so what we're asking for is you to consider your recommendations to who this award should go to the council. Are there any other things you want me to try to answer?
Is there any good, bad relation, good relation, or anything with these 2 companies?
Both contractors have done a lot of asphalt rehab work. Both of these contractors have done work in the city of Pryor. One has done more than the other. I would ask that you go back and look at the history of some of those projects that one of the contractors has done. And because there's a possibility, I guess, that we're looking at awarding this contract to not the low bidder, there's not a whole lot I can say about that at this point.
okay.
It's well within your purview to recommend either contractor for council consideration.
Okay. Any discussion, or
I can let Buddy
Mr.
talk to
or
his relationship.
Buddy or Mr. McClure, either one?
Well, I've done,
Oh, come up, yes, please.
I personally done several jobs for the city of Pryor. And
Please state your name and what firm you're with, please.
Mike McClure, Glover and Associates.
Okay.
I've done quite a bit of work over the years in the city of Pryor, and I've never had any problems with the city. I mean, I've always tried to do a good job. I've always got along with the street department. So I don't know if there's a problem. I'd like to know what it is.
Okay.
I mean, just with my experience, I know most of the time Jack was the superintendent up through here, but I mean, I don't know what contractor or who we talking about. I don't have the paper that shows who bid.
Oh, here you
bid
go.
what or anything.
Okay. I already got it open to the part right there if you want. And the phase 1 project was the alleys
Correct.
and,
Northeast, 3rd place.
The only thing, I mean, again, if we're just talking, I mean, I know Jack he was more or less in charge of everything going through, but I mean, with my experience, a lot of times they sent me out. I mean, I was supposed to be the inspector and things on the jobs, which, I mean, I don't think I was qualified back then exactly for that, but I mean, there was one particular time that we had with, it was yeah, I know it's like, I don't know, it's H&G now or whatever, I'm not sure what they're called, but I mean, we did have it, when we was doing the project, I remember over on Kauai Street, and then we had over there off of Oklahoma Street, they had some private contractors come in which, I mean, that's the discretion of the contractor anyway. But they didn't have the proper equipment, that was going on. They brought in, it was a backhoe that the private contractor was in, and all it had was reverse. Okay, that set the work back behind because they couldn't keep up with what work was going on.
Buddy, what company are you talking about now?
Well, I mean, it's talking about Glover. Like I said, I don't know if it's still still the same companies.
HEC and Glover is not two different companies.
Okay. But, well, I mean, Jimmy was here, and I know that the trouble that we had for meeting, the pay applications, and different things, I know that our former mayor, Jimmy Trimble, said that he would never, accept them back in with all the trouble that he went through and what Jack and of course, again, I wasn't really, in charge of anything, but I mean, there was times I was sent out. But I mean, we did have trouble with, for things getting, on the job and staying and working. Sometimes, back then they'd work 2 or 3 days and they'd be gone for a couple of weeks. I know at one time when we done the project, I think they're the ones that was here when we done the downtown area. We had, everything was milled off, and it was milled off for four weeks. Nobody come back to done any type of work to do it, and then we end up having base failure because of that. So that was one of the reasons why, because then again, you would call them and you couldn't get no answer. Now, again, I don't know was in charge for all this, what was going on, but that was some of the main reasons. And then when we had to try to do a final walkthrough, nobody showed up for the final walkthrough. And then we had an argument for us getting paid because there was things that need to be cleaned up and everything, and then we end up having to go clean it up. So we shouldn't have to worry about that with contractors. When this comes in, when they bid a job, they should know what's going on, what to do, what their job is, and we shouldn't have to try to hunt them down to come back to do work up here. So it actually cost the city extra money because we had to go back and fix the base failures, that everything was milled off. So
Approximately how many years ago was this?
I was trying to think, 4 or 5.
Because Jack's been gone a long time.
I think I've only been here 4.
So you.
Well, no,
you were
I've been here 5,
basically
yeah.
here for-
I was last year when Jimmy was here, then I was
Okay.
here 4 years with Larry, so it's been 5 years.
Okay.
So it's something like that, I mean, in between there, but,
Oh, have you had experience with the other company?
well, the last one we had was, Dunham.
Yes.
They come in, and this, we didn't really, it was I don't say trouble with them, we had a miscommunication for us, a repair on a street over on, road, Southeast First and Road. But we got that figured out and they got it fixed. But I think that was the main thing. It was just when we get somebody come in to work, and then just with what experience I had was just with that one time when they had me out there doing it, it was just total chaos. So, I mean, I guess besides some other things, besides Jimmy and what Jack went through or whatever, but I know just that one time with me, when they come in and done the work, they milled everything off, but it sat there for 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, it rained and everything, which, we always give, all contractors rain days back and everything, but when it was, milled for 4 weeks and nobody would show back up to work, that's the problem that we was running into. And yeah, I mean, if somebody's not gonna come in and work when it's scheduled, you got so many days to get it done, and then they say, well, we need extensions. Well, you should have been here working when you had the opportunity. So,
You all were here, I don't mean to interrupt, I want to supplement what's telling you, that you all are longtime residents of Pryor, and this was, Northeast First Street that went from Elliott Street to, 69 Highway. And at the contractor's request, because of the question of we can get it done quicker if you just close the street, we put up barricades on all of north-south streets, closing First Street. People couldn't get by because we had salt horses up on both sides, so they could do it as quickly as possible. They got in and milled it off really quick, and then we were gone. But salt horses were still there. Salt horses were there so long that people got out of their cars and moved the salt horses to go across the road. And we had people driving up and down Northeast First Street by moving the barricades and driving down First Street. It was there that long. It became a real issue because we did it in that manner, closing the street so it could be done quickly. And it was slowest repair of that I had ever experienced in a rehab thing. And that was not, that was the contractor that you got today. The other firm that's been mentioned, we've had issues with them as well, but they're not the contractor that's bidding this job. Mr. Glenn is talking about a meeting that was held at the inventory house several years ago when a previous mayor was mayor. And the meeting was a very contentious meeting, and it was with the principals of the company that's low bidder or the lower of the two here. It was a very contentious meeting that prompted the previous mayor to say, you know, and there was not a reason for that argument to take place, raised voices and et cetera that went on. And it was not a very professional atmosphere. It was one that was lasting on my memory, and I'm sure it was. I don't remember if Buddy was there, but I know Jack was in the meeting. It played a lot on my psyche as far as that meeting. So
And this was Glover or H&G?
it was Glover. He was the senior member of Glover Company. I don't even know if he's around anymore as far as active thing, but he was in the meeting, running the meeting. I really don't remember. I'll tell you, it was the old man, the senior partner.
And I guess it just comes down to it, is just, when it come down to time to do the job, they just wasn't here at that time for that job when they was hired to do what they was hired to do. It took too long, then it was extended over, and, I guess, with any contractor, if they come in, they don't do if they're not, say, well, we got 90 days to do it, well, they extend it out, and of course, then there's, supposedly back then, I don't think there was a $500 a day, penalty for not getting your work done. I think that's why it was added, because some of the contractors that we had come in, of course, I imagine that's how it works, you're trying to keep your men busy, so you've got other jobs. But the thing is, that I think we just, at that point in time up there, they left us hanging. But that's the one that I remember. But any contractor that comes in, with me right now, if we got good days that they should be up there working, yeah, I'll be calling, where you at? You got 90 days, or you got 60 days, or 120. Because once we getting close to that point, then we've had nice days to come into work. And, just an example, when we had all that shut off, it was 4 weeks. And finally, we were just gonna hire another contractor to come in and do it, and then, they come in and done the work.
Sure.
Or finished it up. But that's the problem that we run into. It's just,
Sure. Mr. McClure, were you associated at that time with the company in that project?
No, I was not. The owner they're talking about is not even associated with Glover Associates. That's Craig Glover's son. He owned Glover Associates before. He could not compete for 5 years, and now he can compete. He's back in business.
As a separate company,
It's a separate company.
completely different, not associated with Glover and Associates.
It's Glover Associates, but not associated with H&G in that aspect. I run Glover Associates.
okay, so is Mark not part of your?
Mark works for me as a project manager.
Okay. Well, like I said, I'm still trying to.
I'm over Mark.
Okay. Well, because he's called me several times, wanting to know what we need to get together and to fix this problem. I tried to explain him, again, to him, it was just, at that time, it was just.
He did work for H&G, but he works for Glover now.
Okay.
And matter of fact, Glover, we've taken over a couple of their projects trying to get them out of the hole because it just ain't working. H&G's not working.
Chairman, so one of the concerns that was brought to attention was that the emails from Glover on the email itself still state H&G. That was from Mr. Burke. So emails that he recently got in relation to this, I don't remember who they were from H&G still say, or vice versa, I'm sorry. So just ask you to keep that in mind.
He was saying the emails from Glover still had H&G in the email.
That's from Dale Burke, our replacing engineer, so that was a concern of his. So if we're operating in an umbrella situation, we just need to be transparent about that.
Well, Craig's still on part of H&G, but he's trying to phase out H&G because of the reputation he's got, and he don't want their.
So it is in term, an umbrella type situation.
You know,
Okay, so when Mr. Lamar asked if you were at all associated with that,
I'm not, we're just doing some of their job, I'm not associated with them, just doing some of their work trying to get done. So we can work out the company.
Any other discussion? Okay. Call for a vote, but we don't have really we didn't say which one right there in that, so did you want to amend your motion to say which one? Sure.
I didn't know we made one, maybe I missed it myself.
Didn't we? Didn't
No,
we?
we didn't.
We did make the original motion.
Just to discuss. and
Yeah,
that was
just
it.
to.
I would make a motion for the best interest of the city, we take Durham's asphalt bid, $449,990.
Okay.
Buddy, regardless of who we do go with and Mr. Powell, is any of this gonna be pre-coordinated with MUB to where they're not gonna go in and dig ditches across our brand-new asphalt alleys and all that to make
Well,
sure?
they're supposed to be fixing their spots now, like even in the alleys. They're supposed to be doing all their repairs. And that's how we normally work it, is we give the utilities the streets that we're gonna do, and then if there's anything that they have, they're supposed to go in there and repair. Before any type of changes, they're supposed to go in and do it, but it's never failed. I mean, we could get done with something, but it just always just seems like there's something else that comes, like with South Eight there, you know, we just had that overlaid.
And there's getting to be a big hole right in the middle
Yeah.
where that's,
And see, they're maintaining until it's repaired. That's supposed to be the understanding, because see, they're supposed to give me a list of everything they've done, but no, see, it's just like here, and like there in Fairland and, northeast first. See, we just overlaid that, and then no sooner we overlaid that, they come in, redone the water valves, so,
I just want you
yeah.
to know if you're gonna give them enough notice that we're gonna do all this, just,
Yes, they know which streets we're gonna do, and they're supposed to be making any type of
okay.
changes right now so we don't come back and mess up the new asphalt or concrete.
they're trying to stay ahead of
Yeah.
those street projects.
That's the only question I had.
Bruce made a motion.
I second.
Okay. Call for vote?
Smith,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes.
Lamar.
Yes.
Okay, discuss, possibly recommend council action to approve mayor signing a work order with Infrastructure Solutions Group LLC to begin phase 1 of the street rehabilitation project.
Obviously, I'll try to answer any questions about it. Dale hadn't told me anything about it. I assume that this is about the construction administration,
Just to, yeah, it's literally
resident inspection.
thank you,
Right.
to get started on the work.
Typically, when we produce a work order, have produced work orders for the city, we did not include full-time inspection in that number because we weren't sure at the time whether the city would be providing inspection, whether the job required it. It's been kind of a 75-25 scenario. So in this particular case, history on the street rehab projects, we have provided a full-time inspector on behalf of the city to be out there all the time the contractor's working. Buddy's staff is pretty limited, and Buddy's time is pretty valuable, so we have provided that service on past projects. That's what we're amending that work order, the previous work order, to include that full-time person on site.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. So do we have a motion?
I make the motion.
I second it.
Second. Any other discussion? Okay.
I'd like to put my
Okay.
2 cents worth in. The reason I started asking for having a representative out through here is again, with the contractor, when it comes in, they can tell me the problems that they run into, but I don't have the authority to make changes. Anytime anything is drawn up on contract plans, and in times past, there also has happened that they've put me out as a inspector for it. But, I mean, there's only so much I can inspect, but then I've got to get back with engineering, mayor, whatever it is. And if it's something that has to be changed, if they, you know, if they're qualified or whatever, then they can make the changes right then and there if need be, or
Sure.
contact. With me, it's just have to chase somebody down to make the changes, and that just slows the work down.
Right.
And that's why, you know, a couple years ago, I asked for to have somebody to come out there that can do that.
Sure.
It just keeps the work going forward. It's not, they have to stop until we get answers,
Right.
you know, so.
Because we don't want to run into an issue on this like we did on our big construction project at the library/emergency services center.
Yes.
Okay. Any other discussion? Call for vote?
Miller,
Yes.
Lamar,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Okay. Number 5, discuss, possibly recommend council action to approve mayor signing work order with Infrastructure Solutions Group LLC to begin phase 2 of the street rehabilitation project.
So moved.
Move, okay, second,
So move.
okay. Any discussion on this one? I guess the same thing, Buddy, isn't it? The
Correct.
second project, same thing? Okay, okay. Call for vote?
Lamar,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
I might mention, just in passing again, if project 1 and project 2 are overlapping, we're not gonna have 2 inspectors.
Sure,
We're gonna
sure.
have one guy's gonna cover both.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't want anybody to think we're gonna try
Right.
to double bill you. If they overlap in time, we've got one guy that
You bet.
can cover both.
Yeah. It's more efficient and,
More efficient and
Right.
get the credit for it.
No, plus, if he needs help with anything, I mean, I'm there to try to help.
Sure.
Him first question or whatever.
yep.
I just carried that with me.
Listen to you.
Okay. Number 6, discuss, possibly recommend council action regarding the Bailey Street project.
I will give an update,
Okay,
and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Mayor. This Bailey Street project, of course, is the one between Northeast First Street and the new Highway 20.
Yep.
It's to involve the purchase of a property that has been in questionable ownership for a house and an adjacent property next to it. And we did purchase that property, correct? We did close on it, it's done?
Yes.
And it was bought for $17,000. And this is to level, and eventually a house will be leveled, and the work will go out for bid on the drainage in that area, and to also include street update for that. Do you have anything to elaborate on that more?
The first thing that needs to happen is we will need to survey it, and we couldn't get on that property, as it was private property until the city owned it. Now that the city owns it, the mayor can give us a notice that we can go have that survey and begin the process of preparation, detailed plans for a regional detention facility there and raising Bailey Street to improve the drainage there just south of Old Highway 20, Northeast First Street.
So between Mr. Powell and Mr. Glenn and the mayor, what do we need to do tonight to get the ball rolling for the council to get this project going?
Recommend a work order or something on this, or?
Well, I guess my first question would be, where's the funds that goes for it? I mean,
I don't think we're at a point yet to start that. I think an update is really kind of the thing. First thing we've got to do is clear that lot. So, you know, we've got that property, we'll have to seek bids to level that.
Through abatement or something, or?
No, we own it. We're gonna.
We own it, so it's ours. Okay.
So would that come under the purview of tonight, recommended the council that we go out for bids for the demolition? Or do
Yeah,
have
you
it
can
now?
do that.
Okay, super.
And that will start, kind of the start of that project.
You wanna make that a motion?
I'll make it a motion. We
Okay.
recommend to the council to demo that property that we just bought and do, we need to also make sure that thing is completely more mowed often, or to get it cleaned up.
Yes, we are gonna get it cleaned up. We are gonna put a little, that whole thing is kind of in a, I can't answer for what happened before May 1st on that. How about that? Is that a fair answer? So going forward, we are gonna have to probably go up and brush hog that and get it all cleaned up after we see what we've got, so that it can be surveyed properly. Probably like to get that surveyed without that house on it. So I think step one is, let's begin the process of seeking approval for bids to demo the house.
Sure.
Well, do we have the funds for going ahead and getting the surveying part done too?
We might, in the abatement stuff, we might be able to use some of the abatement funds to tear that house. It's a pretty small property, and I'm sure a good push would knock it over anyway. So, we just have to look and see what that price comes in at
Okay.
before I can say absolutely. But the demo, we could start that. If we need to use some of the abatement funds, that would qualify.
Okay, but not the surveying part.
Yeah, I'd have to talk on, I don't know what that pricing is gonna be, so I'm not gonna commit to that right now.
Okay.
I mean,
That's
we
it.
need to, but I'm not gonna promise that.
Okay.
Any other discussion?
And I just asked, we did get the paperwork for the ownership of that, so we do have,
Okay, super. So,
we do have ownership.
all right, call for vote?
Smith,
Yes.
Mueller,
Yes.
Lamar.
Yes.
Okay, number 7, discuss possible recommend council action regarding the Nunley/Elliott Street drainage cleanout.
I will so move on that.
Well, we have to go out for bids.
Well,
Correct.
we had a meeting with the parties regarding that project, and the two parties that were Mr. Cornett and Dr. Nunley, make sure that everybody understood exactly what the scope of the project was, and we needed to get a drainage easement from Dr. Nunley for that piece that goes from Elliott Street over to his back driveway.
Yeah.
And that was hammered out in that meeting as far as his approval of that. We are preparing that legal description now for that drainage easement. And once that's internally done, then we'll present that to the city for execution by Dr. Nunley, who was in the meeting and wholeheartedly concurred that we needed to do that. The project is not ready to be put out on the street for bid because we want to make sure that we had the easement first. So as soon as we get that ready, then we've got plans that are started. I'd say they were in a 75% state at this point. There's two parts to that drainage issue we're talking about. I think the proper terminology for that tributary is the south tributary to Salt Branch. I've been corrected in calling it the Nunley thing. It's really south tributary. And there are two parts to that. One is the reinforcement of a lower portion very near an existing easement. The other part is the part we just described up by Elliott Street.
So what do you need from us tonight to get this started then?
I wasn't aware it was on the agenda as far as that goes. If it's an update of that, that's where we are. We're moving ahead with that. As soon as the easement's done, we'll produce detailed plans. We've already got a work order
Okay.
to do those drawings, so.
So this is more of an update, right?
I think both of these are gonna be more update,
Okay,
Okay,
Is there another one?
I withdraw my motion.
phase 2.
yeah, okay. Then we'll go to number 8, discuss and possible, wait,
Excuse me just a minute. when does your firm think that this would be, everything's all in order to go out for bids on this?
I would say that we will have plans for staff review, Buddy's review, the mayor's review, your review by next month.
Okay.
And then if that's, everybody's okay with the plans, then we can put it out on the street then. Doing that work in the middle of the winter when the sap's down makes it easier for the guys to remove trees, brush, underbrush. So we learned that lesson on Salt Branch Phase 1, that doing that in the dead of winter is a good time to do that. You don't have to worry about the snakes as well, by the way.
Super.
Okay.
Okay. Good. All right. Number 8, discuss possible recommend council action regarding Phase 2 of Salt Creek Basin Project.
Same day, we had the meeting with Dr. Nunley and Mr. Knut. We had a meeting with, asked for a meeting with the two owners pertaining to the West Salt Branch portion of the project, Salt Branch 2. One of the owners attended, and we found out at that meeting that he was in the process of being the only person we needed to deal with on that side of the road. And so we gave him the easements that were already prepared. Basically, on that section, it is outside the city, it's in the county. So what we're asking for on that project is a construction easement only, not a long-term permanent easement. So we're asking for 40-foot either side of the center line, parent center line of the creek, which he was made aware of. He was okay with. There was some discussion about some specific spots along the creek itself that he wanted to preserve. And I think it's kind of neat that we're having those issues. We want to make sure that we clean the creek back to its model, what it was modeled at originally. That's the best we can hope for. That's the most changes we can make.
Sure.
The underbrush that's grown up there over the last 25 years or so since the model was done is terrible and does affect the capacity of that creek. So when will we be ready to put that out for bid? The plan or the drawings for that are complete. The specs for that are complete. As soon as he signs the easement that lets us get onto that property, we can, upon notification by the city, we can put that out on the street for bid. Again, a good time to do that would be in the dead of winter,
Sure.
which we learned before, so.
Okay. So really no action, just to discuss on that. Okay. Number 9, discussion regarding giving Southwest 29 section back to the county.
Commissioner Yoder is resurfacing that street as far back as his jurisdiction goes. We hold the last 1,912 feet of that. There's no income or revenue from the city or for the city on that. We hold no, I mean, there's no, we just have it. It's ours.
It's in a rural area.
Yeah. Sure. And it's floodplain. There's 2 homes that would be affected by that. Ideally, by order of the governing body through ordinance, we can assign that to them.
Okay.
So the other option is we have to go out for vote of the 2/3 of the parties that are affected by that. So you have 2 homes. I think if the council would just approve to have our council, our legal counsel draft an ordinance, and the council's okay with that, Mr. Yoder is ready to do the work.
And that would be to de-annex it.
To de-annex it, correct. So we would no longer own that road that floods every time it rains and has no resale or retail. There's nothing for us there.
And
Then-
we already awarded, this was part of the bidding for, I think, Phase 2, and we would save money by.
So the idea, well, the idea is that we would take, and we've already discussed with the contractors, that we could take that portion of the Phase 2 project and relocate to another portion of First Street. So the idea would be we would try to go from Cemetery Hill as far towards the fairgrounds as we could to start that process. And since they'll be doing Gaither already, that would make the overlaps, the delays and things.
Yep.
Travis, I fought for you and me so that we don't get blocked in. it'll work, but the idea is that we can bring that into a more beneficial area if we can relocate that, so.
So the proper verbiage would be to recommend to the council, well, actually, we just have discussion on here, we don't have anything about action. However, the mayor, in his marriage report or such, could ask the city attorney to draft the paperwork for de-annexation.
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
I don't see any problem with that.
Okay.
I think it would also be fair if you guys wanted to recommend, I mean, it's discussion only, but as we go forward, we could just ask that that be put on the next council agenda.
We can.
We're asking to do that.
Yep.
Jane?
Yep.
Will you help me remember that?
Right.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay. Number 10, discussion regarding the status of Phase 2 of the street rehabilitation project. Update status. That was a month ago, approved, or
A
recommended
month
to the
ago that was
council.
approved, we had the pre-work meeting today.
Yep.
With the contractor. They are planning on getting started in a couple of weeks. I think around the 5th of September is their scheduled start date. There were some discussions about some specific tweaking that they want to do to the work up on, at the RV park, or the mobile home park. We're looking into that, and we'll be providing them a response to their verbal RFI that they gave us today. They're gonna put it in terms of a written RFI. Other than that, everything else on that project seemed to be straightforward. As the mayor indicated, Gaither Road is part of that project. There was some discussion about how they would phase that to make sure that access was granted at all times to people living in Brassfield, and since there's two ways out, and or of that only, so we
Right.
talked about doing the north half, south half scenario.
Sure.
I thought the pre-work meeting went fine. There wasn't really any issues in that regard. A lot of time was spent discussing the possibility of the addition of Northeast First Street. We don't have that tied down to a footage at this point. We certainly don't want to encumber the city or propose to, tell the contractor he's gonna do this without any dollar value that would cost the city. It's gonna have to go to a change order unless we do a one-for-one scenario from Southwest 29th to Northeast First.
So this was for the mobile home park, Gaither Road and 29th Street was phase
Correct.
2. And I'm assuming that the same communication will be done with the mobile home park management and residents about that this is gonna start in there, it's gonna interrupt their lives for a little while?
Yes.
So
It will
that
take place.
manager came by this morning, not related to this, sorry, Steve, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Okay, no.
She came by this morning and she's aware that they're getting ready to start. And so we may have to revisit with her, tell your residents that we're coming in, so get your cars off the street.
But it's a good thing that Choya lives there because he can take all the heat
Yeah,
for us.
he
You
should be
better
the block
believe it.
Tell him to call him.
That
Better
should be
believe.
block captain, he can handle that.
We're gonna put that one right on Mr. Shropshire.
That's right.
That's right. There.
Sorry, Joy, I know you're listening.
That's all I have on that item.
Okay, super. Okay, number 11, discussion regarding the status of newly purchased dump trucks. Uh-oh.
Just really wanna know if they're here, when they're gonna be here, when you're gonna have them
Jesse is
operational.
here. It's been here for probably 3 weeks. And I called James Patchen and was asking him what the deal was. And well, then he turned around and called me, he wanted to know if we could pay him for the trucks. I said, no, we're not paying just for that there. I said, we went through you as a contractor to have this turnkey job. I mean, we went to you, you're supposed to get everything done, then we will pay you. Well, then he turned around and wanted me to call that guy that's doing the bed and hydraulics. I said, that's not my job. I said, I'll call him and ask him, but I said, it's your job to do that. You're the guy that it's falling back on. So anyway, it's, the chassis in, the stuff's over through there, everything's supposed to be in, it's just they're trying to get it supposedly put together. And they're supposed to be working on it. That's the last I talked with James,
Where are they at?
Oh.
over at Tulsa. That's where,
International?
yes, over there. So, or Summit, or no, Holt is,
Okay.
I think that's the name now.
Yeah, hold.
Yeah, but everything is supposed to be there, and they're just, I guess we know what the hydraulics, the bed, the lights, and you know, running the new wiring and things like that, and then getting all the plows and everything all hooked up, but
Sure.
But-
There's no action we need to do then? or
no,
recommend?
it's just,
it's a-
everything's done, and,
Good.
for that part,
And your existing trucks will be traded in,
correct.
so you'll just like drive them over there and pick
Well,
up the new
well,
ones?
they'll bring them over here, then they'll
Take 'em, okay.
they'll
Oh,
take
even
them
better.
back,
Sure.
yeah,
Good.
so, I don't want something,
All right.
while we're driving.
And what year trucks are these?
These are 2023.
Good.
And they're internationals?
Or Pierce. I was thinking. it might-
No, yes, I'm trying to think the exact name for them, but yeah, I think they're international truck.
And they're not ten-wheelers, they're
No, they're,
just like the
just
one?
a single axle dump truck, they're a non-CDL,
Okay.
truck.
Good. Super. Okay. Number 12, probably yours too. Discussion regarding the status of the newly purchased line laser striping machine and pipe hunter jet sprayer.
Got both of them in. We've already put the line laser striping machine to work with it, and the guys are in love. They said it's easier than, they liked the one that we had.
Yeah.
But I told him, I said, well, let's go ahead and try it and see, everything, is working fine with it, with the lasers and stuff that's on there. And actually, we actually got a good deal. The one that we bid, it didn't have the computer on it. We told them we won't, you know, for setting up parking. Now, this don't need to get out,
Yeah,
But,
okay, he's right as hard as he can go.
but, no, it's set up where if you have plans and smart enough that you can go in here on the computer and set it up, and it'll automatically do everything that, without, all you gotta do is push it,
Wow.
so.
Is this the one that your guys was using today on Graham
Yes.
Avenue
Yes.
area?
That
Okay.
was the one that's using today. And then on the pipeliner, we got it in, and we had about a half a day training on it. The guy's supposed to come back. We're trying to schedule a little project. We're gonna start probably over on the west side of town there, cause everything over there is all earth and ditch over there. It's so flat. But what we're gonna do when we get back for training again on it is, he said he would be there all day with us, so we can just go all day long, no charge, no nothing, to get to that, because last time he come over, it was pretty close to noon before he got over, so he brought the machine, and we kinda went over it. They went out and done a couple driveways, but it was time for us to go home,
Sure.
and, but he said, nope, he said, when we're ready, to let him know, and then he would come over and spend all day,
Good.
just using this machine. It's awesome. The one that down at IMI on North Taylor Street, I don't know if you know how long their driveway is. That thing's been plugged up for, I don't know how many years. That thing walked right through it. You can look from one end down the other, and
Wow.
Good.
it just cleaned it out. I'm tickled. I told him, I said, I wanna learn how to do this.
Yeah.
I wanna run this machine too. I mean, that's just.
So it should blow out all that stuff up there along Northeast Fifth Street then,
Oh, yeah. If it don't, there's
from
something.
69 to Roosevelt School.
Yes, I mean, he even said it'll take a little extra time, but even the big pipes, if you can get to it, you can just keep running it down, then pulling
Yeah.
it back.
Yeah.
And everything will
It'll
just
drop
keep
it on,
falling
keep
down,
going,
you run
yeah.
it through and pull it back. He said
Yeah.
it'll even do, 5, 6 foot foot pipes.
Wow.
Then when it blows all that out into the ditch on either end of the tin whistle, then you gotta clean all that out so
Yes.
it don't flow back
Yeah.
in there eventually
Yeah,
anyway.
then we'll go through, once all that's done, then we'll clean the debris up then and
Sure.
get rid of that.
Super.
So, like I said, I'm excited to.
That should help make things quicker and cheaper. I mean, as far as, like
Oh,
you
yeah, I mean,
explained
I think
last
it's,
time.
yeah, I know the initial cost on it, but in the long run, is replacing driveways,
Yeah,
concrete driveways, asphalt driveways, it's gonna pay off in the long run. And it's also a safety because we're not having to get the guys off in the ditch, especially like on Northeast Fifth.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, where your ditches is that much, it's running and you're down there trying to unplug them.
yeah,
Now you're standing up on the bank, working everything instead of actually down in the ditch.
yeah, super.
So that's both of them, I mean, everybody likes both of them, so then we got our, one thing we was waiting on was our end pieces. He brought us a used set that he said if we wanted to start using it while we was waiting on the new ones, but then it was just a couple of days, then he got us, well, actually, he even got us a set that's twice as big as what we required. So it was the new set that they come out with their new ones.
Yeah.
So they just went ahead and give us that.
Wow,
So we've got extra different size types of heads and stuff that we can
Super.
put on it now. So
yeah, that's good.
it's a car wash or anything. I mean, we can do that. Then take the paint off of it.
There you go. Then you get a picture in action, huh?
Yeah,
Okay, any unforeseen business from anyone?
I just have one comment. Steve, I just want to say thank you for all your years of service
Yeah,
to
appreciate it.
the engineering field and to us. How long have you been doing the Pryor's work?
Pryor's work, about 12 years.
Wow.
Since 2012. Did a few projects for the city prior to that, isolated here, there, but as far as continual work, it's since like 2012.
Super.
And to kind of get it into place to understand what you do, you're the new, what Bill Settle used to be, right?
Right.
Okay. Who took Bill Packard's place as the city planning and zoning, whatever? Or do we even have anybody that does that now?
We,
Planner,
we don't have a city planner by title.
okay.
We have not had a community development director by title for some time. To the best of my knowledge, the last person that worked for the city that had that title was, what's his name?
Was it Doug Moore?
Doug Moore.
Okay.
Under that thing. I was asked some years ago to help, because there was, at that time, the school was
Yeah.
bringing in plans for all the elementary schools, the high school, the junior high. There was just, and other things that was going on, and they were just way behind. And, so I stepped in to help the administration at that point, and it sort of mushroomed, if you will. And I took on the duties, willingly to, interpret code, to provide staff recommendations to planning and zoning and whatever the last 7 or 8 years. And I've enjoyed it, but, I'm also ready to try the next chapter.
Next chapter, there you go. Outstanding.
Well, we wish you the best.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, no other unforeseen business. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, call for vote?
Lamar,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Miller.
Yes. So Steve, what pushed you over the edge, man?
Well, I've got 5 more days, so